ti anche lole moye toro Bronti yolojo tinkaljo Kenyon tianwa tianvia jarawa Taba wolotun tasiwo wolowosi Alafia liko lolete walon Eni bafe kobo Moti soroti moni so Ebekele mio a solori a Sony Efi obo sheti oto Rarity anche Lole muaye toro Ronti yolo jotin kaljo Kiyon tianwa tianfia Jarawa Taba wolo tu Tasi wolo wosi Ibere dopi ilea yeta waio on koshosho ni anwa taori ala fraliko lolete walon eni bafe kobo monti soroti moni so Son lori asoni efi obo shady oto onwere ti anse lole mwaye toro gronti olojo ti kaljo kenyon tianwa tianfi ya jarawa taba wolotun tasiwo wolowosi Alafia liko lolete walon eni bafe kobo moti soroti moni so
that you can work from anywhere. You can actually
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome, YAPPIans. I'm sure you can all hear me now. It's great to be here. Welcome to another mentoring session. And today we have quite amazing lady in our midst. Women are really winning, aren't they? Some of you would have seen the flyer we had online. And her name is Maya Famodu. Hope I pronounced that properly, Maya. Okay, I'm gonna let Maya do her introduction herself, but most of you know me. My name is Vidal Juba, and I guess I'm by default I'm a YAPPIan now, but let me just read out a little bit about Maya, as so that you know who you're speaking to. Maya was the youngest to launch a VC, a venture capitalist fund in Africa, and the first sole woman to launch a tech VC in Nigeria. She is the founder and MD of Ingressive Capital, a venture fund investing in early stage startups across Africa. She has backed some of the content's fastest growing companies, including Paystack. I know quite a lot of you will be able to vibe with that, especially you women. You're always shopping, so yes, I know you're not new to Paystack. And Stripe, for over $200 million. Wow, Maya, okay. And Carry First, funded by Andreessen Horowitz, Sony, and Google. Ingressive Capital's impact has led to 40% female co-founders. That is impressive. And 100% of the companies having indigenous equity owners. You know what, Maya, we've got to give you flowers. That sounds pretty impressive. And we're so glad to have you here. Welcome to the Yappi mentorship session. Right now, I know we've got quite a lot of people online. So we just do quite a bit of our housekeeping. And I'd like to let everyone know that you can send your questions into the chat box, and I'll be able to pick that up to ask Maya, and that this is going to be quite an interactive session. But welcome, Maya. It's good to have you here. The topic for today is how to hustle to venture, how YAPPIans can build bold ideas into scalable businesses. So I know you've got to shoot off in a moment. You've got to do one or two things and then you're back. But I'm going to hand over to you to kindly just introduce yourself to the YAPPIans and a little bit about what you do in plain English, if I may say.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So I can only see you and Tito in this chat, so
yes.
I really have no idea who's even in the room. I would love to have an idea if there's a chat that I can see, if people can sort of write what they do, what they're working on, if they're students, if they have a startup, if they're working for a company, whatever it is. I would love to get some context of who's in the room, just so I can make sure to be sharing relevant information. As far as me and my story, I know I have a very American accent, but I am half Nigerian. I've spent the last decade building businesses in Lagos. With my team and my family, actually, who's there. Well, my family didn't help me build businesses, but they provided emotional support. And yeah, so we have two venture capital funds. Fund 1, 10 million. We have about 50 million assets under management. We also have a nonprofit, Ingressive Capital, that trains hundreds of thousands of African youth in technical skills. Developers, designers, product managers mainly. We also do some marketing cohorts from time to time. That's Ingressive for Good. This all originally started, so after I graduated from college, I worked like 7 months in post-grad, and then at the ripe old age of 23, I tried launching a venture capital fund, and I didn't get too far because I was 23, and I had like no finance experience and no background. No real professional background. So instead I launched an advisory company, and that company was quite profitable and quite successful. So I started investing in tech companies in the ecosystem. And then eventually our investors and clients trusted us enough to give us capital directly. So the path into your ideal career can be circuitous, it can be indirect, it can be you being the first person to pioneer and take those steps. So whatever, like, as I always say, if you can't get through the front door, get through a window, get through the chimney, get through the back door, there is always a way. And yeah, we've made a number of good investments. Fund 1, my first investment from the fund was Paystack. We're sold to Stripe, as mentioned. My first investment ever, so I did one investment before Paystack, which was Tizeti, which is going to list on the Nigerian Stock Exchange this year. Fund 1 also has Bamboo, Carry First, Gray, a bunch of successful companies in the ecosystem. So that is the fund. Fund 1 is about 40% female-founded and co-founded businesses. As mentioned, also every company has indigenous equity owners, which is really important to us to make sure that wealth is being generated in the country where we are actively investing. Yeah, that's it. I'm happy to answer any and all questions on building a venture capital fund, finance, how VC works, building a company in Africa, all that important stuff that you all may want to know more about. So anyone have any questions? Also, I can't see. I don't know who I'm speaking to.
So
Everyone's kind of just
okay, well, it's okay. It's all good because I can tell you who you're speaking to. There's about 100 people online, and I'm going to copy some of the messages into your chart to you. Just to let you know, first of all, Emmy Johnson Umoka says, hi, excited to be here. I'm just going to copy that into, I'm just going to give you a few of these to see, but don't worry, we can see it. That's the thing about YouTube. We wish we were on Zoom that way.
a way for me to just be in the main chat.
Yes. So what
To be inside.
you want to be inside it? Okay. So why don't I just copy it for you? I'm just going through, and I've just sent that to you in your Zoom chat. So you should be able to see that. Okay, guys. Just to clear, I heard some people were talking about audio issues. Can you guys? Hi. Okay, good. Okay, they can hear now. So someone says, hi, I'm Joy, a journalist of over 12 years, introduced to Yappi to help visualize my stories. Learning curve is steep, but feels like I'm having my original career. Okay, that's another woman stepping into her own, into a career, sort of, destiny and what she wants to do in life. Fantastic. We've got Ogechi Obinwa. Wow, such an amazing introduction. So I guess that's confirmation that they can hear you loud and clear, and so on. So YAPPIans, herein lays an opportunity. Maya's spoken about a little bit about herself and what she does. I think the main objective here is to understand how young creatives like this, who eventually want to move on to be business owners, want to become entrepreneurs and create huge initiatives, huge companies, huge startups that go on to be unicorns and so on and so forth. How does your industry and how do you guys come into this sort of picture in terms of some sort of collaborative startups? What basically, if there is any opportunities, are there within yourselves? Because some of the companies that you've mentioned, sort of within the fintech industry, do you guys have any opportunities or see any opportunities within the creative industry?
That's a really big question with a
Yes.
lot of little pieces. So you're wondering how venture capital comes into working with people in the creative industry?
Yes, especially in Africa, Nigeria to be more specific.
Specifically in Africa. So I'm not going to answer that question directly because there's not a direct answer there, but I can give you a couple data points that can help you inform on your specific cases that you're working with. So the way that a venture capital fund works is we raise money from individuals, from institutions, from sovereign wealth funds and endowments, from different vehicles and different people around the world. And then we raise a lot of cash and put it in a vehicle called a limited partnership. And then over a 5-year period of time, we exchange equity in startups. So basically a part of ownership of various companies. We take minority ownership, 10 to 20% ownership in these companies in exchange for cash at a specific valuation that's determined by the company's traction, how much revenue they have, how much users, that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the 5 years, after exchanging the cash that we have raised for ownership in companies, we have an entity, a limited partnership that is now filled with ownership, as in equity in various companies. And then the next 5 years, you spend selling those positions, those individual ownership positions, for cash. And then ideally the amount you have at the end is more that you had in the beginning. When you first started with the vehicle, then sold all those positions for ownership, for equity in various companies. And then you get to the end, and then you've sold, after changing your vehicle from cash to equity, and then from changing it back from equity to cash, you should end at a profit. So as in the venture capitalists, the people who have these vehicles who are investing in your startup. And the thing about when we go to market to raise the money to begin with, the whole conversation is, hey, investor who wants to put money in my vehicle, this is my strategy. I'm investing in creative industries. I'm investing in financial services. I'm investing in infrastructure projects. And then you specifically define an area, as in like a geography, like where in the world are you going to invest? What ticket size are you going to invest with? What sectors and what stage of the company are you going to invest in and with? So all of those things need to be predetermined at the beginning. And you can't just change it at the beginning, at the middle of the fund. You can't say, oh, I'm building, the X type of fund, and halfway through you say, just kidding, investors, I know I have all your money, but I'm actually building Y type of fund. You can't do that. So why I'm saying all of that is that it's not a surprise and it's not a mystery the type of companies Ingressive invest in and the type of companies other firms invest in. All you have to do is go to the website or ask them, Okay, and ideally, all of this stuff is published online, and you don't have to go ask them because you should already know when you're coming to talk to us. Like, literally, go online now and look up www.ingressivecapital.com, and I promise you, on the first page, there's the ticket size we invest, other companies we've invested in, the sectors that we invest, the geographies that we invest in. And then you can even fill out a questionnaire so you can find out exactly all the stuff that you need to have done in order to receive an investment, and then you can apply right there on the website. So I'm telling this to say, I'm not going to just answer your question, do we invest in creative companies? How do I get money from a creative? What, blah, blah, blah. You do the research and find out who invests in what, and then you go to apply to the firms that either invest in companies like yours or have, or they specifically say they invest in companies that generally do the similar things that you do, or you contact individual investors like angel investors who might have an affinity or an interest in the thing that you're building. I hope that answers the question.
Very clearly.
You're muted, so I can't hear anything you're saying.
Yes. In essence, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me loud and clear, though? Yeah, okay, good stuff. So yes, you did answer the question, and I did actually like that approach. In essence, guys, you have to go in and do your own research and actually be proactive on this. So in case some of you didn't get that, I'm going to ask Maya to just type the website, if you just give me a moment, so that you guys can, get a chance to have a look at the website there. Bear me one moment.
Proficient in Googling things. You guys all need to be able to source things yourself. So the name of the firm is Ingressive Capital. If you search that, I promise you the website is going to come up.
Okay, yes. So Ingressive
Capital. On research.
That's right. I mean, you have to. So again, Pascal, I can see. By the way, Maya, are you on the link? Can you see the real-time chats now? Because everybody on there is telling me, send her the link. Send her the link. So in our in the Zoom chat, I've sent it to you.
Connect me to everyone. I want to be chatting with you people live. I'm disconnected.
So if you on the Zoom chat, just repeat that. What is it that you guys track to know if someone's idea is investable, Maya? That's from Pascal.
Absolutely.
I think he goes on to say, I don't want to think someone just states a big dream without anything worthy yet to show. Okay, for quality's sake, I get what you're saying.
Of course. Yeah, okay, and now I can see you guys. I'm seeing the chat. Hello, everyone. You're speaking to me directly. I can see the conversation, so we're in it. So yeah, we look at a number of things. And again, this stuff, I don't want you guys to just hear what I say and think that's the only rule and the only way that firms look at companies. The fact of the matter is, again, we share this, like different investment funds, different individual investors, we share this stuff publicly. So if you check even our own website and you want to know what we invest in, how we think about investing, where we invest, I promise you all of that information is on our website, and other firms are the same. So you won't be lost. You won't just be confused trying to navigate how to contact a VC, what they're looking at, if you're relevant. I promise you these things, firms by and large post what they invest in and how they invest on their website. So for us, we look for a technical or product focused co-founder. So there should be somebody who has product sensibilities. Like they've built something before, they have a technical background and technical expertise. Because if you're building a tech company, somebody needs to know how to build it. Somebody needs to have tech experience. We also look for companies that are building in the sectors where we invest. We look mainly financial services. So and some fintech component to your business, we look at those businesses. We also look at marketplace, like trade tech, anything that facilitates commerce across Africa. We also look at well-being, which is mainly healthcare. As far as what we actually want to see, we say traction. A lot of people might think that traction means you have to have, $1 million of revenue, $1 billion or $1 billion naira in revenue, something like that. No, really what traction means is that you have some demonstration of growth in your core users every month. And that could just mean every month, more people are signing up to use your product and staying with the product for months to come. As in, I sign up today to use your product, next month I'm still using it, the next month I'm still using it. So we have that, or it could be revenue. There's a growth of revenue each month and really important, or if you're catering to businesses and you haven't formally closed a big business contact, you have indication that they would use your product, you are doing pilots with them, you have some sort of initial engagement. So that's what we look for. That's what we call traction. Again, it doesn't have to be, millions of CDs. It just has to be some growth in your core metrics that show people really would pay for and really get value out of the product that you're building. They use it, they stay using it, and they grow, the number of them grow over time. Some of the other things, you are based in one of the core countries where we're actively investing that journey to be able to make money. And also we find when everyone across the company has ownership, that typically means that everyone has aligned interests. They're focused on the long-term health of the business. So we typically look for ESOPs in that as well. Next, we like to see some diversity of perspective, whether that is male and female, whether that is people from different geographies, whether that is somebody who's been technical and somebody who's been in the arts field, or somebody who's been in the creative space, and then somebody who's been in the STEM space, whatever the combination is, we like to see diverse perspectives. We tend to see there's a higher IRR, like there's a higher long-term performance with companies who come in and have unique and diverse perspectives. Those are some of the things we generally look at. Wow, a lot of comments here. What should we go with next?
Okay, so yes, so I can see here a few people saying great to be here. Some people having some audio issues with the network. No worries, don't worry. Whatever happens, we're still gonna we would upload this anyway, so you still get a chance. Someone says, what's your advice for us that wants to start a career in animation? And again, just to help to mold that question, I think I'll direct it as you, is someone who's obviously innovative and a pioneer in leading, I'm not sure if I should call it a niche market, but women in leadership. You've gone through, I'm presuming you've gone through a whole lot of dynamics and fought through so much, come to sort of, I'm sure you've heard no a whole lot of times. We've got a whole lot of young people here on this, we're getting to about 200 people who are at the start of their careers. If we take it away just for a moment from creativity or even finance, what advice would you give young people who are going into a very vibrant industry, an industry that compared to its peers across the world, it's still I don't want to use the word emergent, but we're still ripe. We're growing at a fast pace. And these young people that are trying to get in there, what advice would you give them? What sort of attitude and approach should they have at this time, where they're building their dreams, ambition, and careers? And how can you speak from your experience to advise them?
Great, yeah. First, I need to make a correction, because this whole idea that women in business or women in executive leader, whatever, is a niche is nuts.
Okay.
I want to just raise a point right now. Elected presidents, the countries in Africa that have elected presidents, Liberia, Malawi, Mauritius, Ethiopia, Namibia, acting presidents, Burundi, Central African Republic, Gabon, Mauritius, South Africa, Tanzania, the list goes on. So this idea, and Rwanda having about 50-50 representation on public boards, Nigeria coming close behind as well, Ghana following suit, et cetera, et cetera. So this idea that a niche and there aren't really women in finance, or et cetera, of the VC funds. Yes, I was rare 10 years ago when I started this in Nigeria, but today, you look at all the major early stage funds, you look at Future Africa, you look at Health Cap, you look at Lofty Inc., you look at Norskin, you look at TLCom, et cetera, not only do they have GPs, but they also have founding members or key executives, like investor decision makers that are female. So this idea that we're rare or somehow didn't, are nuanced and like a small subset, you really have to search around to find it. No, you just have to look up. So times have changed, and there's an incredible amount of female representation, about equal in venture capital. And other sectors may not look like that, but I want to remove the bias or the belief that somehow we are not well represented, because we definitely are. And if you are a female building a company, if you're a male building a company, whoever you are, you will be able to find somebody who looks like you, who is of your background, either studied abroad either went to a local school, either didn't go to university and just started working, maybe only wasn't on the academic track or only went to the entrepreneurial track after graduation. Whatever your background is, you definitely will be able to find somebody who has a similar story to you and can resonate with your story. And that whether they can connect with you or not is not a prerequisite for you to get funding and to be able to work in the space. So
thanks for that.
Just want to say that.
Fantastic.
Now, yes. So just so you know, if you didn't know, you know.
Good to know. So, and then, learning from your, borrowing from your experience, how would you advise young people who are basically positioning themselves at the beginning of their careers and their dreams and ambitions? What sort of approach should they be, and what sort of qualities or principles should they be adapting at this time?
Yeah, I'd say for everyone, the biggest thing, like, again, I started this when I was 23. I just wanted to work at a VC fund and no one would hire me. So that's why I launched my own venture capital fund, is because everyone was like, oh, you would be a better executive assistant. Oh, maybe you should just get married. Or like, oh, maybe you should do event planning. You seem like you like, glitter and glam. You'd be good at event planning. I was like, I'm pretty sure I could just do what you do. So I think I'm going to just do what you do.
Good stuff.
So don't be afraid. Like if you get a no at the door of the industry that you are ambitious or that you are committed to pursuing, that you're really excited about, you get a no, you get a rejection initially, it could be that they just haven't seen the type of innovation that you are bringing, or they are uncomfortable by the capacity and the potential that you have. So just because the incumbents, the people who operate in a space as is, don't accept you initially, and not saying that they won't, but if they do not take that as indication that you are not meant for that space. Because for me, if how many founders would not have been funded? How many hundreds of thousands of African youth wouldn't have participated in Ingressive for Good, gotten laptops, scholarships, blah, 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 blah. How many of our team members wouldn't have gotten an opportunity to enter the VC space through the door that I opened through Ingressive Capital? So I just, like, if you are not willingly accepted as a junior person in the industry, maybe it's because you are meant to be a titan, and maybe it's because you are meant to be a leader in the space and pioneer a new path in that industry. That's number one. Number two, and that doesn't mean if you get a rejection on a job thing, say, I should be your boss. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying always be like, other people's perspective, other people's perception of your capacity is not always correct. Frequently, I have found, at least in my own space, it's because they didn't understand me, and they weren't interested and didn't have the capacity to understand the type of innovation that I was going to bring. So keep that in mind. The most important thing is, like, money is liberation. When you can figure out a sustainable business model, even from venture capital, it's not like debt is somebody gives you $1 and says, okay, I want $1.05. Venture capital is, I give you $1, I want $10 back. And I'll give you time, but I want $10 back. So, like, understanding venture capital, it's made to be this great, amazing, sexy thing. Oh, everyone should just focus on building their businesses so they can raise VC. That's a big milestone marker. It's really not. It's great in some sense, as in, like, if you've hit product market fit and you really need to be able to scale quickly. But by and large, freedom and the opportunity to both do and build exactly what you want, which really, that is freedom. At the end of the day, why are we all trying to build wealth? Why are we all creating these incredible innovations? Of course, in and of themselves, we're committed to this path, but we all, at the end of the day, want to reach liquidity. And why do we want to reach liquidity? So be thoughtful about what you're building and the sustainability of what you're building, and try to build something that can be profitable from day one, or at least has sustainable economics from day one. Whatever it is, a small business, medium-sized business, large business, you're trying to scale, you want to be able to stay the decision maker in your firm. You want to be able to realize a meaningful exit and get that cash when your company succeeds. You don't want to give away your whole business to VC funds and debt providers and da-da-da. So when you work 10 years, you work 20 years of your life trying to build this thing, you don't really get the upside that you wanted. Make sure to build sustainable economics in that company so that when it comes exit time, you are still the owner.
Fantastic.
That's another big thing. The thing I would say is focus on niche. We have so many generalists. Make sure, and And I think we can discredit our own unique perspectives. Like if you are from some village and you have an incredible insight into what people from that village need, and people in villages like that across the rest of Africa, then you have really strong consumer insights into a niche group across the continent that's really relevant for a lot of different types of startups. So don't discredit your unique knowledge and your unique experience and how that can add value to different organizations and how you can become a thought leader about that niche expertise and also gaining unique skills. It's always good to be able to come to market and start with doing something. Are you going to be the marketer? Are you going to be the finance person? Are you going to be the ops person? Are you going to be the technical person, the engineer? Whatever it is, create your niche and get into business. Are you the network person? Are you the biz dev person? Whatever it is, every part of it has an ascent. Every one of those things, the exceptional person will always have a job. If you're great at any of the things that you decide to do, you will always have a job. There will always be a market opportunity for you. So work on becoming an expert in at least one thing. You can grow over time, you can become a generalist later on, but just work on honing your craft. And the other thing to really think about is in 10 years, everyone becomes an expert. If you just stick around in industry enough for long enough, like one of my early mentors was like, Maya, 90% of what you have to do is just survive, because other VCs are just gonna die. People are gonna get tired, they're gonna get distracted doing other things, they're going to lose their money. Just survive and you will eventually become the expert. And lo and behold, 10 years of doing this, all of a sudden I'm an expert. Boom. Why? Because I stuck around. So the seeds that you are planting today are the trees from which you can reap the fruit tomorrow. So make sure today you've defined spaces where you want to be an expert and you want to go deep. You've defined what skills, and they can change, but don't be changing them every 2 years. So you never, and then 10 years go by, you did 5 things a little bit, and you're not an expert in anything. Just stick around. Even if it's your side hobby, today, say you're 20 years old, there's compounding interest in money and there's compounding interest in skills acquisition. So today, you're getting into STEM and you're also looking at marketing. If you get into STEM and marketing and you stay in those spaces for 10 years, you will inevitably be an expert. 10,000 hours takes a long time, and 10 years is a long time to invest. So your early 30s, all of a sudden you're the industry leader. So just stay committed, stay consistent in the industry where you're looking. Stick out in the hard times. If you stick around, eventually you will become the expert.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Some really, really insightful nuggets there. I know you've got, you had a quick appointment, which is obviously about 15 minutes ago. Are you still good for this? I mean, we could take a break and come back if you need to peel away.
Not here yet.
Okay, good. So, okay, well, I'm going to throw some of the questions in here. By the way, thanks. I hope you guys are catching this. Again, if you're not, it's fine. We're still going to re-upload this video, so you'll be able to get a chance to check it out. I know the network is a little bit poor, but you know, that's the part of the qualms of Nigeria. So quite a few questions here, so I'm going to quickly throw them to you. One says, drawing from your years of experience, can you walk us through a real life example of a hustle that successfully transitioned into a fundable venture?
Yeah, I can do that. And I think Miracle has asked this question a few times. I would love to know if ownership percentage is negotiable. Any special entry for YAPPIans trying to apply, as most of us are in this animation, which is our product?
Yes.
There's no special entry. Again, like I was saying at the beginning, when we raise money from third parties and we say, hey, we're going to go do this at this specific strategy, then we actually have to stick to that strategy, which means we have a target ownership amount, which is we target 10% ownership. We invest in companies valued at 5 million post-money USD, 5 million USD post-money valuation or below. And it's based on your traction. There's like a sliding scale based on your traction. So it's the ownership is based on your traction. We either do 1 million post-money, 2.5 million post-money, or 5 million post-money, depending on where you are in your level of traction. But by all means, certainly apply. And then, drawing from your years of experience, can you walk us through a real-life example of a hustle that successfully transitioned into a fundable venture? I wouldn't say it was necessarily a hustle, but it was I would say, Pay with CAPTCHA transitioned into Flutterwave. And that wasn't necessarily a hustle, but that was an exploration of a feature of a tool that turned into a company. I would say Shola had a company. I think he was trying to do tax, like getting taxes from small businesses, like trying to streamline the process of tax collection, something in that space, some iteration in that space, and then that eventually transitioned into Paystack. So I can say not necessarily a bunch of examples of hustles. I know founders who've been obsessed with their space and then somehow found a business from being obsessed and very interested in that space. There's a number of healthcare companies. And I can say, if you know Remedial Health, they're doing phenomenally right now. They're a darling child in our Fund 1 portfolio. The founder had a company before that was like Figma. It was a tool for technology professionals, for like engineers. And we invested in that original iteration of the business, and then they pivoted into Remedial Health. So that initial business was like something that he was generally exploring. He applied to Y Combinator with, and then out of randomly, he decided to pivot into this new model, providing financing for pharmacies and pharmacy aggregation and moving across the healthcare space. I would say we have a lot of examples of people who were tinkering generally, and so you could say that it was a hobby. They were tinkering in a space, found some indication of product market fit and scaled, or people who were tinkering and were super wrong, like made no traction for a long time in the main space that they were exploring in, and then eventually decided to pivot and then did something great there. So we have a lot of companies like that. So say, just because, I would say, get out and start doing something, even if, a lot of people need stability. So if you have a day job and you need a day job, and we're not talking, oh, I'm going to be a founder from day one. Founders can't be founders without executive teams. It's just as essential, the people who are building around the CEO as the CEO. No, it's not just Mark Zuckerberg as the one-man band. There's, thousands and thousands of people around, and there was a complete team around Mark from day one. There were other people who were just as influential in the success of the business as he was from a very early time. So I want to move away from this founder or nothing, and this idea that people in the creative industry, in the marketing, in the animation, in the design industry need to exclusively stay in that niche and create content for themselves, or start a company for that alone. There are so many, especially in the AI space, the space where creative and animation meets AI. I'd say that's a huge market opportunity now. So strengthening yourself. If there's one thing that I can say to the young people on the call, go take AI courses. Go learn some big, either product management or engineering 101, or at least just a high level course on artificial intelligence, because it's going to be really, really important for you to understand how to use and leverage artificial intelligence to enhance your creative product. And also there are so many different artificial intelligence AI firms that don't have that imagination and that creative element. And you guys are going to be essential in that space. So just because you studied animation or you have a design firm or whatever that is, don't leave yourself in a niche. Discover the market opportunity, which would mean you actually plug into an AI company. You actually plug into a traditional industry STEM company that's trying to think creatively. You actually plug into a hardware company that needs help with designing their product. So there are many different ways to plug the key in, but you need to be creative about thinking of that.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Maya. That was quite intense, and especially you delving into AI. We've mentioned it on the session. I know a lot of the young people here are just trying to understand opportunities out there, and again, especially what you mentioned about AI, guys. That's I personally believe that is the sort of one of the key directions that creativity is going to take in terms of the creative industry. The collaboration between creative industry, the animation industry, and AI industry is going to be quite huge, and it'd be great if you can position yourself to be able to take full advantage of that. Homeboy Geno's, sorry?
I'm listening. I need 1 second.
Okay, no worries. Well, I think Maya's just had to just take a break, which she did mention earlier. I can see Jude's message here. It says, as a woman in venture capital, what trends have you observed when it comes to women-led startups seeking funding? Okay, that's a good one. I'll push that to Maya when she comes back. Okay,
Yeah.
she's back. And
Yeah.
two is,
I'm here. And I have 4 minutes.
okay, great stuff. So just to, before we round up, I'll just like to create these questions. Homeboy Gino says, nicely said with learning AI. So again, thanks Gino, you're buttressing what we said here. Jude asked an interesting question, which you sort of really, clarified earlier, but he's asking, as a woman in venture capital, what trends have you observed when it comes to women-led startups seeking funding? That's one. And then I think there's a question here that, well, there's two that so 3 in total, one from Jude. From Joel, he's saying, how do I focus on two 3D niches at least? I usually have the overwhelming feeling whenever I think about where I am and where I really want to be. Okay, so basically, how does he navigate, where he is now in terms of dreams and to conception and execution, and how does he basically marry those two things without feeling overwhelmed? And then finally,
Wait.
Okay.
I need one at a time.
Okay. So let's go to Jude's question. Women in venture capitalism.
I got the 1 and 2. Women in venture capital.
Seeking
and
startup
then
funding.
The second one
Basically,
was
dreams
from
to how to marry it.
Yeah, I would definitely say read the book 0 to 1. I think they're free. Yeah, there are free PDF versions online. 0 to 1 is a really great idea on how to bring your idea to market. I would also say it starts now asking those questions. There's so much information online. I need you all to get really comfortable with using ChatGPT. There's a free version. You can use ChatGPT to answer all of your questions. You can use Google to answer all of your questions. Asking, how do I start testing if my idea is relevant? How do I get from idea to execution? Great answers and great resources. Can you send me 5 pieces of resources or YouTube videos that I can watch that can help me get from 0 to 1? I promise you, ChatGPT, Google, all these platforms can help you. I'm not going to be here 24/7. You're not going to have somebody 24/7 there to mentor and guide you, but I promise you these platforms are available 24/7 when you're stuck 3 a.m. and you have so many questions. Please use ChatGPT. There's a free solution. Use Google. There's a free solution. Your answers a lot of your answers, at least the initial part, will be there.
Fantastic.
So
thank you.
To answer that question directly, it doesn't just start with you have an idea and then all of a sudden it comes to life and it's a business. You have to make sure the whole coming to life part comes when you've built something people want. So it doesn't start with I have a grand vision of a company I want to build. The problem starts with, the business starts with, here's an incredible problem, a really big problem that a lot of people have. And I believe I have a solution that's 10 times better than anything anyone else has brought to market. So that is the source of how you go from idea to successful company, is creating something where you can, the money that you spend solving the problem is less than what people are willing to pay to have that problem solved. And you can sustainably make money on that difference. Really, it's just go around. What problem do your neighbors have, your parents have, the person at the coffee shop down the street, the market women on the corner, as you're going around in your life, become observant, humble yourself, ask questions, just with your eyes, be existing, and see the problem that most people have. And that is where the real business starts.
Fantastic.
Women in business. What was the question again?
The question was basically about how have you noticed a trend with women in business, women seeking funding for startups?
Oh yeah, what sort of industries are they looking at, and how has it differed over time, or how has that changed over time?
Correct.
I see a lot of women businesses. So we actually just did a call, and we received about 100 applications, and I would say maybe 50% of them were in the agricultural space, and not necessarily a rapid innovation, but sort of value addition. So either processing or some sort of like, generally along the lines of processing in the value addition there. Or it was movements of goods and services, aggregation of goods and services, storage of goods and services, like working with smallholder farmers on the education and improvement of crop yields. I saw a lot of agriculture, like traditional business models that we've been seeing from day one. And there are still opportunities there. Complete Farmer, one of our portfolio companies, is doing incredibly well aggregating yield from smallholder farmers. Out of Ghana. There's the opportunities, there's still major opportunity there. So that's one model. The next one, I'd say the next 25, we're building undefensible AI tools. I would say an undefensible AI tool means like you're creating an agent for chats, like that can chat with customer service, and there isn't a real market distinction. There isn't a real differentiation. Like it wouldn't compete with a Silicon Valley company, and it's not materially better than the incumbents, and it's not being done a materially different way. I want to see, like, if you're incorporating AI, don't just do it for like zhuzh. Don't just do it because it's like a nice sauce. Like if you're using AI in your business. Oh, and also I have to go to my investment committee right now. I have to go. If you're using artificial intelligence in your business, it's because it's powering the source. It's like if you're marketing yourself as an AI company and you're marketing yourself to customers as an AI company, make sure it's like the source, and make sure there's somebody on your team who actually has experience building AI tools. The other thing is, if you are an AI company, or not an AI company, if you're a regular company using AI, you don't have to market yourself as an AI company. Just make sure that you're improving your operating expenses by incorporating artificial intelligence, as in you need less customer service people, you need less accounting people, you need less back-end people because you're using AI, and your op costs, as in your personnel costs, drop down significantly. And then you can pass that cost on to your end user. So all of you should have, even for creating content in the animation space, as opposed to having 50 creators who are building scripts or creating animation reels or blah, blah, blah. Now you have one, and powered by artificial intelligence. And then you can pass those decreased costs on to your end user. So I actually have to go to my investment committee. That's
No
the
worries.
end there. Thank you so much. I'm on social media, Maya HORGAN FAMODU. If any of you are interested to ask some follow-up questions, you can get me on Instagram, LinkedIn, X, TikTok. I don't know. My team runs all the things. So I'm happy to help in the future, and make sure to use ChatGPT. I'm not going to be there 24/7. ChatGPT will.
Thank you so much, Maya, for your time. Really appreciate it. I know you've got to go now, and I'm sure all the YAPPIans are very, very appreciative of your time with us. I'm sure the team would forward you some questions if you have more questions that come up as we go. We wish you all the best in your endeavors in the future, and hope to have you back with us at some point at Yappi.
Thank you.
You have a good evening. All right, guys, that was Maya. Keep your questions coming in. We would forward them to her as we move on. There's some questions, and I believe maybe some of these people weren't here in the beginning. So it says, there was someone who's asking, what do you think can make one's application stand out? Again, she asked you to Google Ingressive, and you can have a look, and everything's in there. Again, you can do your own research, and this is readily available online. Can one start an animation studio as a specialist? I think probably this is more towards the YAPPIans, so Dr. Akan and probably myself to answer, which is yes, of course you can start an animation studio as a specialist. And how? Literally, first of all, learn your craft. So grow your animation skills, learn as much as you can, and it's basically a business. 2, learn about animation studios, what services they all offer. and see how you can set up the structures to create those services and become a service provider, as an animation studio. It depends in which areas you want to go. Some people specialize in film, VFX, and some people specialize in cartoons or, content for online explanation videos and so on and so forth. So that's that. I believe any space for voiceover artists, of course, Jenny, there is space for a whole lot of people in the creative space. The creative ecosystem is so vibrant, and it's an ecosystem because they all work together. The same principles apply. So if you listen to what Maya said, the same principles apply to whatever it is that you want to bring to the table. So I'll ask you again, just go over and listen to, especially when she was asked about what advice to give young people who are starting the businesses and the approach. She mentioned some very, very interesting points which would answer this question. How do we position ourselves to be investable? Again, that's on Ingress. You can check that out. And I believe that would answer most of the answer. Please answer mine, being here from the start. Okay, teddy bear treats. Okay, let's look for teddy bear treats answers. Question. Okay, how do you position yourselves to be investable? Okay, so I've answered that. Again, go on ingress.com, and again, your YAPPIan supervisors would also, put this to you in your communities and your groups. But you already mentioned that everything you need to know about being investable, would be on there. But she did mention some things. One, try to be profitable from day one. Try to be sustainable. Employee. We mentioned about. Let me see. I think I jotted some of these points down while she was making the points. But employee stock pool option pools are something that investors also like, and so on and so forth. Again, it's time for you to do your research, guys. Delve into this. You've been shown the way, as they say. It's now time for you to walk the walk. Well, thanks so much for your time here. My name is Vidal Juba. I love being involved in Yappi, and hope to see you guys soon. At some point, we're gonna have another mentoring session, which you'll be told about. Again, you can keep your questions coming, and we'll pass them on to Maya. You guys have a great evening. Remember, YAPPIans, the future is bright, the future is awesome, and looking forward to see some of the best creatives ever in Africa come out of Yappi. You can do it. Last question says, does that mean that knowing how to draw is not feasible skill as an animator anymore? I'll leave you to push that to your community leaders and your supervisors. For now, this is us signing out. You have a good evening. God bless you all. Bye-bye.